If you feel like you've tried everything, therapy, meds, diet, school help, different routines, and your child or teen is still struggling, well, you're not alone and it's not your fault. The truth is, most providers are just guessing. We don't. We use data from the brain to help support your child's nervous system and behavior. And guess what? Those changes are lasting. Hi, I'm Dr. Roseann, and I'm the founder of the Brain Behavior Reset Program, a trademarked program that combines the best of what has already been proven to support your child's nervous system and brain. And I'm here to talk to you about it so that you can start imagining your child or teen and family being more regulated, calm, focused, and cut out all this friction and reactivity that most families are struggling with today. I know that most parents are just exhausted. You go from, one thing to another. I always say go in one rabbit hole, Google search, trying all these different things, feeling like nothing's really helping in the long term. You might get a band-aid approach where it sort of helps, but in the long term, nothing seems to be sticking. And the problem is, unlike me and my team and our brain behavior reset program, typical providers, number one, don't really have the training that I do, but they're not using data. We start with a QEEG brain map, which I'm going to talk more about, but it is quantifiable data that really shows us exactly what's happening in the brain, what's working, what's struggling, what areas are understimulated and overstimulated to better really help us not just understand your child, but create the path, right? And that's what my plan is all about. We have to stop pushing meds as our first line of defense, right? What that says is that it's always a neurotransmitter issue. It's always genetic. And, that's just not the truth. Having done over 10,000 brain maps, there are many reasons why kids struggle with attention, with emotional regulation. And guess what? When we see what it is, we can create a care plan and a treatment path that really creates change, not just for your child, but your family. A lot of providers do a one size fits all. Why? Because they're not studying and learning about all the ways that we can regulate our nervous system, right? And there's no excuse for that. There are a lot, my friends and I, whether they're medical doctors, if you're, watching and you're listening on these channels, you're learning that there are what we call curious providers. I don't believe that every child's nervous system, could never regulate. Every family can't regulate. If you choose not to as a family, it's not going to regulate. I'm going to pull out my magic wand. It's not going to regulate with a magic wand, but you have the power. And when you start with medications, because that's all your provider knows, you're losing your power. You're losing the ability to create lasting change. A lot of times what happens is, not what we do. We are a concierge mental health practice, a nervous system regulation practice, and we work with people all over the world. It starts with a brain map. That is the first part of our program. But first, before I get started, I want to share a story about a young man. He's actually totally an adult in his 30s now. His name is Michael, and he came to me when he was about 17 years old. Just a brilliant young man, so brilliant, but raging case of ADHD. And his parents were like, we tried meds. It made it worse. He got irritated, angry, and stopped eating. We worked with the school. We tried many schools. We tried all of these things. And they flew up from another state, which is very common, right? People fly in, I meet with them, and then they take equipment home. We'll go over that. He did neurofeedback with me, and neurofeedback is nothing is coming through the wire. It's a non-invasive therapy that provides real-time feedback for the brain for it to regulate itself. And it's cool. It does it through computers. And I work with, like right now, I'm working with a little tiny little preschooler who has autism. And I'm just so excited. This was the week where a psychiatrist called me, a medical doctor called me, and a school called me wanting to know what I was doing, because these kids who had never been able to regulate with you name it, were all regulating. And that was awesome. And so that's what happened with Michael. He started to regulate. His parents were always threatening to send him to the military. They thought about pulling him out of school and having him get his GED. And, so here he is, a man in his 30s. He is regulated, he's working, he's happy. And it all started with neurofeedback and us doing a comprehensive program. Let's talk about our program. And again, it's a concierge level program. I only work with a few people in a month because you get help, not just from me. You're getting help. We even have our own internal admin who answers your calls. Yes, we answer our calls, but you have a brain reset specialist. You have a case manager who really provides unlimited support for you, whether that's phone support, email support, video support, and is there to guide you through this process. But it starts with this brain map. And what's amazing about a brain map, it's very easy. It doesn't matter if your kid's got sensory issues. We rarely have somebody who isn't able to do it. And just so you know, I really do try to focus on kids and teens, but we have lots of adults that we work with too, because that's just such a common question. I work with a lot of entire families because usually they're so happy with what happens with one person that they go, I have this, I have ADHD, I have OCD. These things do run in families. But medication isn't the only answer, and that's exciting. This is what the research shows us. So that brain map identifies very clearly areas of dysregulation and helps us understand that connection between the behavior and the brain. And that's what's very unique about me, right? I am a certified school psychologist. I did neuropsych testing for 22 years. I'm a 30-year therapist, and I am board certified in neurofeedback. Really critical to go to somebody who's board certified. And so I can make those connections between what's happening in the brain and behavior, and then most importantly, guide you through those behavioral changes. After we do brain map, you have a strategy session with me. It's not like any other intake you've ever had, right? We really focus on that brain map, and I build out an incredibly customized treatment plan. You're not getting anything else that you've ever had before. And it really is our path when we work with you in our program for 6 months. And then you're going to learn how to use your at-home neurofeedback equipment. It's easy. We got it down. We show you how to do it as many times as you need for us to show you how to do it. And we're there, right? And it's easy, it's safe, and it's effective. And kids watch movies, shows, different types of videos while they're doing neurofeedback, and that's giving it the reinforcement. So exciting that this equipment has become what it has because it wasn't always this way when I started so many years ago. Now, some people like to come back. You get multiple meetings with me, and some people like to come back for the midpoint and the final point for additional brain maps. Not everybody does, nor is it required, but we really like to get you out that one time. It makes a difference. And yes, sometimes I take other brain maps. It really is unique for each person. But I love to have a data point because it takes the guesswork out and it really helps us to guide. I mean, sometimes people come in, not sometimes, half the time people think it's one thing, and that brain map really gets to the bottom, the root cause, and we take a completely different path based on that brain map, right? Many times I'll see things like birth trauma or a head injury when they thought it was a mood disorder or even PANS, or somebody thought they had ADD or a mood disorder and it really was infection induced. So there's many different paths, but it gives us clarity. So once you're using the neurofeedback at home, your brain reset specialist is with you, guiding you, getting that nervous system to regulate. Because if you've ever heard me talk, you know that the nervous system must regulate for learning and attention and healing to occur. You are wasting your time with expensive treatments and other therapies if you're not regulating the nervous system. And I use neurofeedback and I use PEMF and I use a variety of things, but neurofeedback is direct brainwave retraining to areas of dysfunction and dysregulation. PEMF regulates the nervous system. That's an optional component of our program that many people do. In our concierge level support, you're getting one-to-one guidance, regular check-ins. We're really educating you, walking you through. It becomes so much easier, you all, when your kid's regulating and you're regulating. you can breathe, and you get total guidance from me. This is why I only take a small amount of people, because people need it. And we're here holding your hand, whatever is happening. But I want you to know that once you see the brain, you can finally create the right plan. And that's what's been holding you back. And sometimes people come and just do diagnostic assessment with me, and they go on and do other things, and know that I'm very, very supportive of other therapies, that this can work beautifully with occupational therapy, physical therapy, psychotherapy. But doing talk therapy when your brain is shut off is a waste of time. What's going to unfortunately happen is when your brain is ready, your child's gonna be resistant to it, because psychotherapy is so important. But if you're trying to, it's like drinking, water from a fire hose. Essentially, that's what your brain is saying. Like, I can't handle this. I can't handle this. I'm too dysregulated. So our program works for a lot of reasons. Yeah, one, you're getting, 30 something years of experience when you meet with me, right? And so it's very different. If you ever heard me tell the story this past year, I had somebody come and tell me that I needed all new air conditioning systems in my house. I have three, and heating systems. I don't even know how much it was going to be, but I think it was about $75,000. So I searched and I was like, I need an expert. I need an expert. And they came out. I found an expert. I used him in my office, and I was like, this guy knows his stuff. You know how much I had to pay to get something fixed? $200. It's what an expert gets you. And I interviewed, I don't know how many people. Guess what? Everything's still working great and all these months later. So, when you have expertise, what you bring to the table is just very different. It really allows for more rapid change. Now, I don't make the change for you. I show you the path. I regulate the nervous system. That's the easy part. But we're brain behavior reset, because you've got to address the brain and nervous system, and you've got to address behavior. When you calm the brain, it opens the door for better reasoning, executive functioning, focus, and behavior that allows for those changes. So most of our people get quick gains, but it takes time for the nervous system to reset. It takes time for you to learn new behaviors, but it's a lot easier because you're getting quick gains that give space for that learning to occur and for you to counter your own overwhelm. We provide tools that fit into real life, because we're all parents. Everybody in our center is parents, and pretty much, I think, except one person in our center has a wired uniquely kid. And that's important. So if you're done with trial and error, you're sick and tired of all of this, your next step is to take our solution matcher. You're going to drroseann.com/help. Based on where you're at, it's going to guide you to the right solution. And maybe it's working one-on-one. Remember, there's only a small amount of people I work with, and that's okay if you're not ready for that. There's all paths lead to nervous system regulation when you're taking our solution matcher. It's the micro components that create dramatic change. But if you want one-to-one guidance, you're really sick and tired of all of, the struggles your child and family, or maybe you're looking to create generational emotional wealth and you really want to break these cycles, then make sure you take our solution matcher. That's the only path to get in. And just know, I want you to be inspired by this conversation. And, I'm all about hope and empowerment. But you, as Philomena would say, you got to move your coolie too. So don't wish, don't just sit there and pray. You got to take action. And your next step is to take the solution matcher.